Hi friends, it's Rachel from My Healing Home at healinghome.co, where I take you along as I make from scratch recipes inspired by the Trim Healthy Mama way of eating. We talk about motherhood and faith, and I also bring you along on my journey of creating a handmade home. Welcome back to this channel. If you are new here, please hit that subscribe button so you can get all of that content delivered right to your notifications on YouTube or wherever you happen to be watching this video. Today we are going to be making a Trim Healthy Mama inspired recipe that I specifically am using for this summer. It is fresh, it is delicious, it replaces things that you get from the store that might have questionable ingredients, and the best part, it is super easy. And I'm talking super easy. Like, you put everything in the blender, you mix it up, you serve it to your friends and family, and they think that you've spent hours making something when you really haven't. And it's based on cottage cheese. Now you guys can make this either an S recipe or a fuel pull recipe depending on the type of cottage cheese that you use. I accidentally bought 4% milk fat cottage cheese, small curd, really accidental. This is not usually the kind of cottage cheese that I buy. And my children will not eat it because they say that it's rotten and it tastes weird. They're just silly like that. But I'm gonna use this cottage cheese up for this recipe. But you can use low-fat cottage cheese and cut out the mayonnaise, and then you will have a fuel pool recipe. Otherwise, you can add the mayonnaise and use kind of a higher fat content of cottage cheese, and you'll have a beautiful S. But I haven't told you guys what this recipe is yet. I should have. It is my summer cottage cheese vegetable dip, and it is going to be amazing. Okay friends, we are going to make this recipe right from my kitchen table because this is the only place in my kitchen, just because my kitchen is long and narrow, that you can see the countertop space and me. So that's what we're going to do today. And if I look 30 weeks pregnant, it's because I am 30 weeks pregnant. Just for those that are new around here, this is my third baby. I've got 2 kids outside that at any minute could poke their heads in and be all muddy and gross and interrupt this. So if they do that, just go with it because that's how we run around here. So we have my blender over here. We've got my cottage cheese. And remember, you can turn this into a fuel pull by using low-fat cottage cheese. We're using full-fat cottage cheese and the mayonnaise. You can cut the mayonnaise if you want and increase the almond milk to get that consistency correct. I like making this an S or a fat-based recipe because I think it just really tastes delicious. So if you have the ability to make it into an S or a fat-based dip, that's what I recommend. So to start this recipe off, we're going to take 2 cups of cottage cheese and put it into my blender. And I forgot my spatula. I'm gonna have to go back and get that. You could have some cottage cheese, but remember, this is the cottage cheese that you don't like.
No!
You like this cottage cheese? You want to keep this cottage cheese? Would you like to sit right here and have a cup of cottage cheese? Okay, you can sit right there. Next, we're going to add our seasoning, which is a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder and a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. So let's go ahead and use my beautiful Trim Healthy Mama measuring spoons. If you guys don't have these, they're very reasonably priced, and I love that they come together in a clip so I never lose anything. I don't know if you have that problem, but I do. I'm always losing my measuring things. 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder and 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. Next, we're going to take a full teaspoon, and if that ends up being kind of too much for your taste buds, you can always reduce it. But I like to use a full teaspoon of dill weed. Just gives it that beautiful summer flavor, and that's what we want here. We're going to add a full teaspoon of that to my blender. This is the Ninja blender, by the way. Someday I'd like to upgrade, but for right now it works out very well. We're going to use just 1 teaspoon of unsweetened almond milk. Make sure it is unsweetened. You don't want the sweetened stuff. And yes, if you are noticing, my child is putting the cottage cheese in his hair. Sometimes that's just what happens. Now we're going to take about 1/8 of a teaspoon of mineral salt. I don't know about you, but what I do with the grinder is I just kind of put it in my hand and go, yep, that looks like about 1/8 of a teaspoon. We're gonna stick that in, and then we're gonna use a 1/4 cup of mayonnaise for that beautiful S, and you can increase the almond milk if you choose to make this a fuel pull. All right, we've got all of my ingredients in my blender. Now I'm gonna take it back to the kitchen and we're gonna blend it all together. There you guys go. There is my cottage cheese summer dip that I'm sure all of your guests at your summer parties will love and enjoy. If you enjoyed this recipe, be sure to go over to healinghome.co and check out the full recipe. And of course, as always, that subscribe button is right there so you can be updated every single time I release a new weekly video.